We're just going to chat for about half an hour. This little thing called the Miracle Morning book might come up. I don't know. But what can be said about Hal that has not been said before? Hal is an author. His book has been translated into several languages. Best-selling author of, what are you up to, like 10, 12 books now?
Yeah. A little over 2 million.
Little over 2 million books sold, has a Facebook group with 250,000 people in it. That means there's 250,000 people that want to hear what you say, which is just crazy to me. You might not even know this story, but 6 years ago when we met, your book was doing well, but not at the scale that it is now. And you were just doing your very first live event, 100 people in a scary room with no windows. and a buddy of mine was getting divorced and he was just in a real bad headspace. So I just typed in, I was like, Tony Robbins-esque live events this weekend, San Diego. And it's like, here's Hal Elrod at the hotel doing his first live event. And that's how we had the pleasure of meeting. So other than being a husband, a father to 2 great kids, what did I miss in the bio, Hal? What do people need to know about you?
That's it, man. I've died a couple times. That's kind of always, interesting, but died a couple times. And now I just doing my best to serve my family and the world, and try to lead by example as much as I can.
Cool. And if you're watching this live on Facebook, there's already about a dozen of you jumping on. Do me a favor, tag somebody that might need to hear a little something about motivation, generating leads, creating a morning routine, because those are all things that Hal's known for. So Hal, if I can tell the story for you, you get in a car accident, you almost die. I think you were pronounced dead at the scene for a bunch of minutes, and then they brought you back to life, thank God. And then, some other things happen, some financial turmoil, and life deals us all a shitty hand from time to time. And then you wrote this book, The Miracle Morning, kind of as your own self-help book to get back on track. So for those that aren't intimately involved in your story, give us the 2 or 3 minutes on why The Miracle Morning, kind of how it came to be, and then we'll dive into some of the practices.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me. And thanks for everybody watching, listening. Appreciate you being here. In 2007 is when it really started. The U.S. economy started to crash, and I was kind of in denial about it. I'm that eternal optimist that's like, no, everything's going to be fine. And I ended up losing over half of my clients in a 6-month period. And in this 6-month period, I lost over half of my income, therefore, and I couldn't pay my bills, couldn't pay the mortgage. My house went to foreclosure. The bank took it back. I got really depressed. My body fat percentage tripled. I was just eating on the run and quit the gym and all of these things. And it was a real downward spiral. And my wife, was like, encouraging me, trying to pull me up. And it was a conversation with a good friend of mine, John Berghoff, who obviously you're well. He led me to a series of events that led me to go for a run and listen to an audio. And the audio was Jim Rohn saying, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person that you become. And I think that's the disconnect for most people in society, is we all, on a scale of 1 to 10, if we're measuring success, however we define it, in any area of life, success in our health, our relationships, our finances, on a scale of 1 to 10, everybody wants level 10. And what that quote opened my eyes to is I go, well, wait a minute. I want level 10 success in every area of my life, but my level of personal development is like at a 2, like maybe a 3 on a good day. And I realized this is the disconnect. I'm not developing myself every day to be a level 10 person so I can achieve the level of success that I want. And I went home and I went, okay, I've got to create the most extraordinary, effective personal development ritual in the history of mankind. And I had a list of these 6 practices, and I was trying to figure out what's the best one. And my epiphany was, what if I did all 6 of these all at once? Meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, journaling, like the 6 most timeless, proven personal development practices. None of them are new, right? But they're proven. And most successful people, if you talk to them, they swear by at least 1 or 2 of these, right? And I went, what if I did all 6? I don't know anyone that does all 6 of these. And then the question was when, and I wasn't a morning person, but I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, well, I don't know. There's no way I can fit this in. So I go, what if I started my day with these 6 practices? I woke up the next morning. I did all 6. I did them poorly. I didn't know how to meditate. I didn't know how to do affirmations. Felt goofy, right? Like some of these were woo woo. I'm like, am I doing this right? But I felt incredible after day 1. I went, if I start every day like this, it's only a matter of time before I become the person that I need to be through this daily personal development to create the life that I want. And I was thinking 6 to 12 months. it was less than 2 months that I more than doubled my income through this practice. My body fat percentage that had tripled. I started training for a 52-mile ultra marathon, which I wasn't a runner, but I was getting so much clarity and motivation and just really thinking bigger and gaining confidence one morning after another. And my depression went away. And I went to my wife. I go, sweetheart, this morning routine, it's like a friggin' miracle. Like I've doubled our income. I'm training for a ultra marathon. What? Like, I was depressed beyond belief a couple months ago. I'm on fire again. I'm like, it's like a miracle. And she goes, it's your miracle morning. And I go, yeah, I love that miracle morning. But again, this wasn't a book idea. Like I wrote it in my schedule, miracle morning. And one of my coaching clients in a few weeks asked if I had a morning ritual. I told her the ritual. And then I ended up teaching it to all my clients. Almost every single one of them said, I'm not a morning person. I said, neither was I. Follow these few tips and strategies. Here's how you beat the snooze button. And every one of them came back and they were on fire. They're like, dude, I'm having my best sales week, right? They were all salespeople. Having my best sales week right now. My business is growing. I'm reading again. I'm exercising. And keep in mind, all of this happened while the economy was tanking. And I share that because if you're in business right now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a business owner, most of us, if the economy goes down, right, business, we go into this panic. And what I realize is that even if the economy is getting worse, as long as I'm getting better, my business can get better. As long as I'm improving, my business can improve. And it continued, far beyond that. And that's when the light bulb went off and I went, if this changed my life, and I'm not a morning person, and it changed all of my clients' lives and none of them were morning people, this could change anybody's life. And I felt a sense of responsibility to share it. And so I started writing a book. 3 years later, it took 3 years to write the book. I'm not a fast writer, but it published, self-published. And then now, as you said, it's, fast forward, 7+ years, and it's translated in 37 languages. We sold over 2 million copies, which I never in a million years could have guessed that, imagine that would happen. And it's all word of mouth. Like I'm not this prolific marketer. I don't have this huge, or I do have an audience now, but I didn't have any audience. It was just one person implementing it, being blown away by how it changed their life, and then telling everybody they knew they had to read this book. And that's how it's just kind of, taken off. And yeah, man. And now I'm on a mission to keep elevating the consciousness of humanity through this practice, just one person at a time. And so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share it today.
What's crazy is anybody who doesn't own the book has to go buy it on Amazon right now. We'll put a link in the comments. And it's so funny, Hal, because 4 of the people that were at your very original Best Year Ever Blueprint live event that you used to host, we're still in a men's group together. And,
nice.
And whenever one of us is out of sync or gaining weight or just kind of down on ourselves, everybody in the group goes immediately, hey fucker, are you doing your miracle morning? And we're like, no, man, I've been getting up late, or I've been going straight to the emails in the morning. And they're like, well, that's the solution, man. And sure enough, just like that, you turn it on, you get back to the steps, right? You nicknamed them. I'm a big fan of acronyms also, the SAVERS.
Yeah,
so
SAVERS.
Silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing, because you couldn't find a way to put in a W or a J.
Yeah, the J wouldn't fit.
J wouldn't fit. Yeah, a jivers or something like that.
The saver jump.
But talk about those individual practices, right? Because I think you nailed something when you said, your professional growth will never outpace your personal growth or your personal development, right? And you and I have heard something similar where it's like every business problem is really just a personal problem in disguise. Sure. So if you're the type of person that's like, oh, I can never follow a schedule at work, and I never find time to get to my lead generation or my business development. It's like, well, that probably means you're also the person that hits the snooze button 3 times every morning and can't get out of bed and can't get into a routine. So can you talk a little bit about, the power of this particular routine, or just routines in general as it pertains to growing a business?
Yeah, well, so here's the way to think. In fact, this is what got me to consider the morning ritual. Because when I was doing my research, trying to figure out what are the best personal development practices, I kept coming across articles about morning rituals and morning routines, but I just skipped them. I'm like, no, not a morning person. No, thanks. And I don't even remember. I wish I remembered the one that sucked me in. There was a headline that sucked me in, something like, the morning, like your morning routine is the one thing that can change your life, something like that. And, and I was like, all right. So I read it, And what it opened my eyes to is that, it's funny. And I saw Dean Graziosi post a video saying this almost exact thing on TikTok today. But the idea is that how you start your day, that sets the tone, the context, the direction. It sets your mindset. It sets everything for the day that you create, right? And so the way you create a great life is you create great days and string them together. And the way you create great days is you start the day in a proactive way. To me, the Miracle Morning is about putting yourself in a peak physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state first thing in the morning, so that you then emerge into the day as a better version of the person that you were when you went to bed the night before. Every morning you learn and you grow and you become better, and then you take that into your day. And as you get better every morning, your days get better. And some people will ask me, and you mentioned earlier diving into the savers and what these are. We can go into them here in a minute, but they've asked me, well, Hal, once I explain the savers, they go, this is great. Couldn't I just do these anytime and get the benefit? Like, couldn't I do my Miracle Morning, in the evening or in the afternoon or after work or whatever? And the answer is absolutely. And you're going to benefit from it. Here's the reason, or here's the argument, if you will, the case for why the morning is so crucial, because each of these practices benefit you not only over your entire life and who you become, but there's benefits in terms of kind of the programming of your subconscious and the directing of your conscious behavior that benefit you directly after and for the hours following. I'll give you an example. So the first S in savers is for silence. So if you most people start their day, right, with chaos, even if it's not like audible chaos, right? It's internal chaos, right? It's checking the phone, checking the email, checking social media, watching the news, right? So we don't start our day in silence. When you start your day in silence, there are over 1,400 scientific studies that have proven the benefits of meditation. So not just the spiritual benefits, but actual physiological and intellectual and emotional benefits for meditating. For example, it lowers your cortisol levels, which lowers your stress. When you have higher cortisol levels, it makes it so your brain cannot think as clearly, right? Which is why when we're angry, we say things that we later regret because you're not thinking clearly. And so the idea is when you lower your cortisol, you can think clearer. You lower your stress. You make better decisions. You have more clarity. You have more decisiveness. So that's something that you don't want to wait until the afternoon and miss out on those benefits. You want to start your day with that clarity and that mental acuity that will optimize every decision you make the entire day. If you take the A in affirmations, or A in savers is for affirmations. So the way that affirmations have been taught for, decades, centuries, is really counterproductive. We've been taught one of two things. Typically, it's either lie to yourself and trick yourself into believing it, right? So you say, or just like pumping yourself, like, I am amazing, or I am thin, when you're overweight and you're lying, going, I am thin, and you're looking in the mirror going, dude, who are you kidding, right? So lying to yourself is never the optimum strategy because the truth will always prevail. You need to use affirmations that are in alignment with reality. The second problem with affirmations is that we're taught to use them in this flowery, passive language that promises a magical result. So I'll give you an example. We've all heard probably some variation of this one. I am a money magnet. Money flows to me effortlessly and in abundance, right? But it doesn't.
Making me sick to my stomach with that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and here's why people like that, Scott, or here's why I think people are okay with it. Because if you're struggling in any area of your life, if you're struggling financially, for example, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do my affirmations. They're literally an escape from reality when they're phrased that way, because you go, I'm a money magnet. Okay, that feels good. Okay, money is flowing to me effortlessly and in abundance, and soon I'll be financially free. Oh, thank God. Right? But that doesn't actually get you to do the things to produce income. So I'm going to give you 3 really quick steps to create affirmations that are results oriented, because I like feeling good. That's what but I don't just want to feel good. I want to feel good and produce measurable, meaningful results and improvements in the areas that matter most. So here's 3 steps to create affirmations that will do that. Number 1, affirm what you're committed to. So don't say, I am a millionaire, or I am wealthy, or I am thin, right? Say, I'm committed to becoming blank. I'm committed to achieving blank. I'm committed to improving blank. I'm committed, right? I am committed to blank. So phrase your first part of the affirmation in the outcome that you are committed to. Step 2 is why is it crucial for you? Why is it a must? Why is it deeply meaningful to you? Like, what's the why that matters so much that you're going to do whatever it takes and overcome any obstacle and push through motivation and fatigue to achieve that commitment, that outcome? And number 3, what will you do and when will you do it? So specifically, okay, you're clear on number 1, the outcome you're committed to. And by affirming it over and over, you're not affirming some lie or some fantasy or some magic. You're affirming a commitment which is necessary for you to make it a reality. And then when you get into the second piece, you're reminding yourself, okay, that's what I want. That's what I'm committed to. But what if I don't feel like it? Well, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it because I deserve nothing less. I'm doing it because it's a reflection of who I'm committed to being now and for the rest of my life. And you're like, okay, now you're getting some juice because you've got the why. You're reminding yourself every single day why this is a must for you, why it is a non-negotiable. And then number 3, you're clarifying, because the only way it's going to happen is if you actually do things that make it happen. So the third part is you're clarifying what are the specific actions that you're going to take and when are you going to take them. And so now if you follow that formula, it's really simple. Your affirmation might be, 3 to 5 sentences. And by the way, I have that formula for every single goal that I have in my life, in every area of my life. I've got that for parenting. I have it for my financial goals. I've got that formula for my business, just different aspects. And so that applied to your business or applied to any area of life, it's programming your subconscious mind while it is directing your conscious behavior, keeping it top of mind. And if you read that every morning, you're increasing your energy, your desire, your commitment, right? And you're reminding yourself, yep, today I'm committed to doing these specific things at these specific times, and there's no other option. So that to me is how I've tried to take the savers from being these kind of woo-woo practices to being really, really results oriented, really actionable, really practical.
Woo, woo. Okay, I love that. I'm going to go back and rewatch that because I'm the person that I can't stand the affirmations because I'm like, right now, especially shelter at home, COVID-19, I'm carrying around about 10 extra pounds on the beer belly. Like
it's okay. 2 pounds are from the beard. So don't worry about that. It's not
I'll shave the beard. But if I was to get up and look in the mirror with my little pot belly on the way to jiu-jitsu and be like, I am a man with 6-pack abs, I would just be like, that's out of alignment with who you really are, you idiot. Like quit lying to yourself. But if I started saying, hey, I am becoming the type of guy that makes better health decisions because I want to live a long life with my family, that's more in alignment with like who I am. And that's more real talk,
Yeah.
One of the things that you said that I want to go back to is you made a joke about it. And sadly, it's not a joke because this is how everybody starts their day. They pick up their cell phone because they're using their cell phone as their alarm. And it's immediately, there's a tweet, a bleep. I get sucked into the political arguments. And you said, the way that you start the day is the way you live your life. A couple of things that I've noticed in working from home is there's some things I've had to unsubscribe from. There was a political newsletter that comes out every day that I think is very well written. It aligns with my political beliefs spot on. But I found myself starting my day in frustration of like, this freaking politician and why are we doing better at this? And I need to do more in my local government and my world government. And it was just starting me out on the wrong foot by reading this email. So I had to unsubscribe to it. And then, once a week I'll check in. What are some things that you see like new adopters of the Miracle Morning? Obviously you have your prescriptive stuff, right? Guys, go read the book, find Hal's keynote online. We'll link to it here in the comments. But what are some things that you find some of your people, addition through subtraction, like they start removing from their life, like, hey, I don't need that. I need a better Miracle Morning, and I need to start to remove some of this noise so I just have a better life and a better business. Like, have you given any thought to that, the stuff that we need to remove?
Yeah. Well, the first thing people remove is usually whatever they're doing late at night, right? Because if you examine we all have routines already. It's just, you have to examine which routines are working for you, which ones are adding significant value to your life. Usually binging on Netflix late at night into the wee hours of the night is not adding significant value to your life. It's pleasing you, it's stimulating you, it's like a drug, it's giving you pleasure, but not necessarily fulfillment. And so if that means that you're going to get, the first thing you might be cutting out is you're going to bed an hour earlier to get up an hour earlier, or 30 minutes. I mean, a lot of people do a 30-minute miracle morning. There's a whole chapter in the book on doing a 6-minute miracle morning. So you don't have to do a full hour. Most people, though, when they start, and you probably know this, they usually start 5 days a week, and they'll start 30 minutes a day usually. And then there's so much value there that the 30 minutes goes by too fast. So they extend it to 60, and then they'll sleep in on the weekends. And we've had this question come up a lot in the Miracle Morning community where new folks will say, hey, do you guys do the Miracle Morning on the weekends? And as you said, there's 265,000 people in that Facebook group, and they're very engaged. They're very supportive. So this newbie will come in and ask, a question, and they'll get dozens and dozens or hundreds of responses. And the common response is, I started out with 5 days a week. And then what would happen is I'd sleep in I'd feel great. I'd wake up to my Miracle Morning. I'd be on fire on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, right? And on Friday. And then Saturday, I'd be like, all right, I get to sleep in. And then I'd sleep in. And then I'd wake up, after a few hours, and I'd be like, I feel like I just wasted the morning. I wasted an opportunity. And I love what Oprah Winfrey says. She says, I love waking up early on a Saturday morning and working on myself because it doesn't come with the same time pressures that I have Monday through Friday. So my favorite Miracle Mornings are on the weekend, and again, and I'm not, part of the Miracle Morning is going from waking up when you have to wake up. Most people think about it. We wake up when we have to. You go, okay, what's my first appointment? What's the first time I have to be somewhere, do something, or answer to someone? And then you go, what's the last possible minute that I could set my alarm to be able to do that thing? And that's what I call a mediocre morning, right? You're literally resisting life to wake up at the last possible minute. And there's a shift of consciousness where you go, wait a minute, instead of waking up when I have to each morning, right, which is almost like against my will, I'm going to wake up when I want to. And I'm going to dedicate that first 30 to 60 minutes to becoming the person that I need to be. And the last thing, I want to go back to something you said, and I want to comment on this. I forgot exactly how you said it, but if you mentioned how you start your day. And if you start your day by watching the news, right, it floods your body with cortisol. You start to view the world as a scary place instead of a generous, hopeful, loving, optimistic place, which guess what? It's both all the time. And our reality is based on what we focus on, not just what's happening, because you can find all of it. You can find things to make you depressed and scared and want to crawl in a hole and hide for the rest of your life and think the world, it's not even worth living anymore. That's all out there. And then you can go, dude, there is so much love and generosity and abundance and right, like it's all there. And so here's something to consider. And actually it came up for me when you said that is think about this, the emotional state that you start your day in or that you're in at any given time. Think about if you're angry about something, if you're frustrated about something, right? Well, everything that comes into your world while you're in that state is received and reflected from that state. It happened yesterday. For whatever reason, I was working on the Miracle Morning movie and I'm like staring at a computer for 8 hours trying to edit it and it's stressful. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I was a mess. And like my kids are making noise and like I took my hat because it's, I didn't want to break anything, but I was so frustrated at my kids making noise, which normally I'd be like, oh, they're playing. That's so sweet. Right. But I like took my hat and I just threw it at the wall. Because, right, so it's an example. If you start your day in a frustrated or anxious or angry or nervous or stressed out frame of mind, that you carry that with you the entire day. And that's part of the benefit of the Miracle Morning is sometimes I'll wake up stressed, but I pull up my affirmations and they remind me, oh yeah, this is who I am. And I meditate and I calm my nervous system, right? And I visualize what I want for my day. And then I exercise and I get some oxygen in my lung, right? All these things. And now it's like, I go from waking up stressed out or even depressed some days for no reason, just, whatever. And then an hour later, I'm on fire, right? I'm in that peak state to take on the day. And then if I edit a movie for 8 hours, sometimes I revert back to the initial state and I throw a hat at my kids, but.
Yeah, none of us are perfect. And it's funny, we could talk all day, but I want to go back to one thing you said where it's like, there's a chapter in the book about having the 6-minute miracle morning. Because I think the first The first aversion to this for most people is they don't want to get up earlier. The second aversion is like, oh, well, that's easy for you, Hal. You know, you write books and you're self-employed, or you're wealthy, or you have black hair, whatever excuse they want to come up with, that you have plenty of time to go get in an hour workout and you can work on yourself and meditate. It's like, no. If you can accept the fact that all of us, you know, can go from 0 to 100 in 1 minute on a negative collision course with me wanting to put my fist through the wall, I don't understand why people can't understand the benefit of like, hey man, if you've got 6 minutes to do your miracle morning, a minute worth of push-ups every day will actually change your body and your physiological makeup, and it'll give you more energy and it'll get air in your lungs. Can you talk a little bit for the person that's watching this and kind of rolling their eyes and saying, yeah, but you don't get it, Hal. I'm a business owner. You know, I'm a loan officer and we're busier than ever because rates are so low. I don't have time to do your hippy dippy bullshit, you know, 3-hour miracle morning. Like, can you talk about that 6-minute miracle morning where it's like, okay, I just knock stuff out in 1 minute. And like, that really changes my life for the better. Cause I believe it. I've done it. And then I get out of the habit of doing it. And I'm like, why am I not just doing the 6-minute miracle morning? Like, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So here's what happened is almost the entire Miracle Morning book, it because it was not a book idea, it was me living this practice and then deciding to translate that into a book. Everything in the book is what I did personally. And so there were so many days I like doing an hour-long Miracle Morning. And there were so many days where, you know, I had an early appointment or I missed waking up or whatever, where I was short on time. And so one day I had only like, 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm like, well, there's no point in doing a Miracle Morning. I got to go. And then it popped in my head. I go, wait, what if I did 1 minute for each of the savers? Like, what might that look like? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go try it. And so I got quiet and I sat in meditation position and I just breathed and just really followed my breath for 60 seconds. And obviously you can only go so deep in 60 seconds, but bottom line is I calmed my body and I felt clear. And I'm like, Then I pulled out my affirmations, and they were only one page. I pretty much read them all in 60 seconds. And I was reminded of, this is what I'm committed to. This is why, this is what I'm going to do. And in each area of my life. Right. And then I closed my eyes and I visualized myself that day executing the activities in my day in a perfect way. I just kind of saw myself rolling through the day chronologically and having a perfect day. And I felt really empowered to go make that a reality. Then I stood up and I did 60 seconds it was 30 seconds of jumping jacks and then 30 seconds of push-ups. And like you said, blood and oxygen going to the brain. I'm like, I'm thinking clear. I'm feeling better, right? I'm, got a little breath going. And then I pulled out the book I was reading and I just read one page in 60 seconds, got, an idea that I could implement. It was great. Then I pulled out my journal and I wrote down a few things I was grateful for. Right. And I felt clear, grateful. And I shut the book and 6 minutes went off and I was like, dude, I feel amazing. And that was only 6 minutes. And here's how I kind of quantify it. I go, that was 1/10 of the time that I would normally invest in the Miracle Morning. And I felt like it was about 70 to 80% of the benefit, which is crazy. Like how many things could you do 90% less time and get 80% of the benefit, So I wrote that as a chapter in the book. It was a blog post initially, and then I developed it into a chapter of the book. And that's, I don't advocate. Anyone will tell you and you can try it. If you want to start with 6 minutes, you're going to want more because you're like, dude, this is the best part of my day. Like that's what happens because you're like during the Miracle Morning, I feel great the entire time. I feel calm and clear and excited and I'm learning and I'm growing and right. And then you go into work sometimes and it's like, this was like today it sucked. And that's one of the things that I often, and obviously hopefully your days don't suck, but there's all, I'm just saying there's the contrast when you have a stressful day, but the morning is just always kind of, you're in control of it, right? There's no phones ringing, no emails buzzing. In fact, you said something earlier about the phone. I do not turn my phone off of airplane mode until my Miracle Morning is done. So that's one of the rules that I have. And then the last thing I want to say is that one of the things that was cool is when I created the Miracle Morning for myself, before I even called it the Miracle Morning, just this morning practice, I was my life was at rock bottom, man. I was in debt. I was, my credit card I was swimming in credit card debt. My house was being foreclosed on. I was, looking in the mirror, just flabby and like, right. It's not like day one, everything changed, but here's what was cool. I would have a stressful day. I would, things wouldn't go well. I'd lose a client or whatever it was. But instead of normally we go to bed and we just keep repeating the same day over and over and over and over again. And usually if you go to bed with all these problems on your mind, A, you can't sleep, right? And B, you wake up and your first thought in the morning is almost always the last thought you had before bed. And so for me, every night it was like I got to hit the reset button because I wasn't going to wake up to my problems. I was going to wake up to 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of it, right? Like I was going to wake up to my miracle morning. And so every night I got to go to bed peaceful going, all right, I'll reset during the morning and I don't need to worry about the problems, right? I'll have those tomorrow because I'm not waking up at the last moment to face my problems. I'm waking up on my time, on purpose, right? And so that miracle morning gave me that opportunity you get to set the reset button every single day.
And for people that are thinking through this and they're like, yeah, I need to get my plane, my plane. I got to get my phone on airplane mode. It'd be cooler if we all had planes that we could get on phone mode. But anyway, I got to get my phone on an airplane mode. You know, I've got to have, can you give us just a couple, and then I know your time is super valuable. We'll break. Could you give us just a couple of tactical things? Like, are you using a journal or do you have these all printed out on a one sheet? Because, you know, I think the danger, or I'll just speak for myself, where I've fallen off track is it's like, all right, I'm starting on my miracle morning. I was silent. Cool. I did that. Now I got to go to my affirmations. Oh, what are my affirmations? Let me look in my email for the affirmations I typed to myself. Oh, shit. The Simon Chen loan. I forgot to order the appraisal. And if I forget to order the appraisal, this realtor is never going to talk to me again. Let me just jump in and do that. And then the day's gone. Right. So can you give people some actual tactical, if you're looking to get started and improve your morning routine, like what are the physical things you use? What's the space you set up? Any tips that you can give?
Yeah, I'll run through this really fast. Number one, move your alarm clock as far across the room as possible every night before bed. And that's the biggest key to beating the snooze button, because most of us keep our alarm clock within arm's reach. And when you wake up in the morning, you turn it off without barely even coming out of consciousness and fall right back asleep. If your alarm clock is in the bathroom or as far away as it can be, then you have to get up. And it's much easier to stay awake when you're upright, right? You're upright, you're like, all right, I'm up. So that's the first thing, is move the alarm clock across the room. And by the way, if you want to, if you go to tmmbook.com, that's like the miracle morning, tmmbook.com, you can download my bedtime affirmations, which again, these weren't written for the book. These are my affirmations that I use to set my intention before bed, that when the alarm goes off, I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to brush my teeth, wash my face, head out in the living room and do my miracle morning. No matter what, there's no other option. Like I committed before bed. Because as I said, your first thought in the morning is almost always that last thought before bed. So my voice of commitment would be driving me forward to not go back to sleep. And then all my miracle morning stuff, I keep in one spot. I keep it on my coffee table in my living room. It's like a 2-level on the bottom part. I have my printed out affirmations. I also have them in my phone for when I travel. I can look at my phone, not in my emails. Genius. And then silence. I have, I'll use guided meditation. I have an app on my phone for guided meditation. I do use my phone a lot because I travel. So it's all my miracle morning stuff is in here, but at home, I also have most of it like printed out. But I'll use a guided meditation app, which I recommend doing a guided meditation. If you have to, go online, go to YouTube, type in 5-minute guided meditation or 10-minute or 1 minute, or you can choose certain meditations on certain topics like meditation on confidence, whatever. But if you're new to meditation, I don't encourage you to spend your time in silence trying to meditate if you haven't learned how, because usually it's more stressful than it not, because your brain is going, am I doing this right? I don't think I'm doing it right. Aren't you supposed to clear your mind? I can't stop thinking. Damn it. I suck at this. Forget it. This miracle morning, I'm not going to do it. So I encourage you to start with a guided meditation. And then affirmations, when you go to tmmbook.com, you're going to get a bunch of affirmations from me that you can, practice with. Visualization, I visualize the activity for the day and I create a peak emotional state doing that activity. So what I mean is we've been mistaught visualization, or taught it in a way that's only half effective, where it's like visualize the perfect end result. But if that's all you do, you trick yourself into thinking that result is a foregone conclusion when in fact it is not, unless you do the things today that will move you in the direction of that outcome. And so for me, I'll spend 30 seconds visualizing the outcome so I can feel excited about it. I can start to believe it's real. But the most important part of visualization is I see myself doing the things today that will get me there. For example, when I was training for that ultra marathon, every morning I'd visualize myself seeing my alarm on my phone go off at 7 a.m. because that's when I was going to train. I'd see myself like a movie, going into my closet in my bedroom, getting dressed in my running clothes, heading out the front door, and I would visualize myself smiling, looking out the front door at the sidewalk that I was about to run on, and I would imagine and feel and even say to myself, I'm excited for this run. It's going to feel great. It's good for my body, my mind, my soul. And so what happened by visualizing the activity, not just the finish line, when the alarm went off at 7 a.m., I didn't resist the thing that I normally resisted because I hated running. I actually automatically, like clockwork, I had already rehearsed it over and over and over. I got up, I got my clothes on, I headed out the front door, I smiled, I felt excited for the run, and that was all pre-created through visualization in that way. The exercise, get the 7-minute workout app. It's a great free app that gives you a full body workout. Or just do 1 to 10 minutes of jumping jacks, sit-ups, push-ups, right? Whatever. I like the 7-minute workout app. And then reading.
Anybody who thinks they're in shape, just try to do 3 minutes straight of burpees. You will pass out. And I know CrossFit rock stars that are like, okay, just do 3 to 5 minutes straight of burpees, and they give me the big middle finger. So there's plenty of time to get a workout in 3 minutes.
Totally, dude. Totally. And then reading, just again, there's not rocket science there. It's just the idea that reading every day should be a non-negotiable for you, right? I mean, we're all one book away, one big idea away from changing any aspect of our life that we want. And I read books on parenting, on marriage. In fact, I have a rule where I have to read a parenting or a marriage book before a business book. That's a rule I implemented to remind myself that family's number one and business is number two. Or further down, whatever you want to look at it. And then the final is scribing. I use an app on my phone. I do free writing now, but for years, I used an app on my phone called 5-Minute Journal. And it just has you answer, what are 3 things you're grateful for? What are your 3 most important priorities today? It literally takes you 5 minutes or less. You can put a picture in there. Or I do free writing now where every day I just write, how am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's on my mind? I get it all out of my head and on paper, and almost always end up journaling to some profound breakthrough or conclusion without knowing where I was going to go. I just start writing and I set a timer for 10 minutes and I end up going, kind of like a self-coaching, if you will. And then and that's it. Those are the savers. So those are the 6 practices, and those are some, tangible tips on what I do for each one.
Awesome, man. Hey, Hal, I really appreciate your time. Maybe somewhere in the future I could have you on so we could actually talk about lead generation, because I know building the community has been an exercise in massive, massive lead generation. Obviously, the book helps. Am I going to see you in Austin at the Front Row Dads Retreat in August? Is that a thing?
No, maybe. That's a good point. I need to look at the date because we were gonna leave the entire month of August, but now we're only going 2 weeks, so I got to move them around that date. So yeah, I'll try to make that work.
Yeah, I'll definitely, if you're taking guests, I'll get tested before I come over, and we'll hang out. We can make out in the pool or something. But
you got it, brother.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's super valuable. Get back to your family, and I'll see you in Austin sometime.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks, Scott.
All right, love you. Talk soon.